Hello dear students of Standard 7th. Welcome to English class. Today you are going to learn new lesson number 10. The title of the lesson is Thomas Alva Edison. He was the greatest American scientist who invented bulb as well as gramophone. Today we are going to learn in this lesson the journey of Thomas Alva Edison. Now we can see the image of Thomas Alva Edison. He was one of the greatest American scientists who invented electric lamp or bulb. I am going to read each and every passage, and afterward, as and when passage gets over, I will explain the passage. So listen it. First passage. Edison's full name was Thomas Alva Edison. He says Thomas Alva Edison. Remember the spelling E-D-I-S-O-N. Don't apply E-D-I-T-I-O-N. Here E-D-I-S-O-N. Thomas Alva Edison. He was an American. He loved experiment from his childhood. Even in his childhood, he was always curious, eager to know something new, to know new things. He was fond of asking questions and was never satisfied till he got the right answer. So here, what is the explanation? I am going to tell you. One of the greatest personality you can see in the image, he was Thomas Alva Edison. Thomas Alva Edison belonged to America. From his childhood, he was interested in different kinds of experiments, and he was always curious, eager to know new things, why these things happen. He was always asking to each and everybody. So he had a curious nature. He was fond of asking questions every time for little things, and was never satisfied till he got right answer. Until he got right answer, he was continue asking this question to his father, mother, teacher. So he was very curious from his childhood. Now next passage. Here is a story of childhood. Here a story is given about few incidents of Thomas Alva Edison, which tells us about his eagerness, curiosity to know things. One day young Edison was at school. When his teacher was telling a story about birds in the class, Edison stood up and asked the teacher, "Madam, why can't man fly like a bird?" "Because man has no wings like birds," replied teacher. Now I just explain this same passage. Here is a story of childhood related Thomas Alva Edison and about his eagerness. One day young Thomas Alva Edison, when he was young, he went to school. At the time when his teacher was telling a story about birds, at the same time Edison got up in the class, stood up in the class and asked teacher. And what was his question? "Madam, why can't man fly like a bird?" So he was simply asking stupid question because he was very curious. So he wanted to know why man can't fly like a bird. So teacher replied, "Because man has no wings." Simply teacher had replied the answer very sincerely and with a helpful way. The young boy thought for a moment. Even though he couldn't say anything, continued thinking and again asked her, "Madam, but kites have no wings and yet we can fly them in the sky." Now he was thinking about kite, that we are flying in Uttarayan. So here said, "But kite has no wing, even though we can fly kites in the sky. What happened so?" So at the same time, what happened? Next passage. The students laughed. The students started laughing, and classroom was filled with noise of laughter. At this time, the teacher became very angry and lost her patience, her mood. She thought that the boy was stupid and naughty, so he asked his parents. Here he is given, in place of that you have to make correction in your textbook, SHE, she, because here the word is given madam, not sir. So she asked his parents to take him out of the school. When his parents took him home, but they knew very well, the parents of Edison knew very well that he was not a stupid boy. He was simply curious and eager. This incident took place when Edison was only 8 years. So this is the story of Thomas Alva Edison when he was 8 years, when he was asking question to madam. Two questions he was asking. "Madam, why can't man fly like a bird?" And second, "But kite has no wings and even we can fly them kite in the sky." So here at the same time, teacher or madam lost her patience and at the same time he mentioned him as a stupid boy and naughty boy, and immediately called his parent to take him out of the school. And his parent took him out of the school with the satisfaction that he had a son who was very curious. He was not really stupid, but nobody tried to understand his feelings. This incident took place when he was 8 years old. Now we move to next passage. Now know another incident of his childhood. Second incident of Thomas Alva Edison. One morning when he was watching bird. This is very interesting incident. One morning when he was watching a bird, it flew down to the ground and picked up a few worms. Worms means small insects in its beak, and it flew away. This gave young Edison an idea. This bird is able to fly because it eats worms. Man can also fly if he eats worms, he said to himself. He wanted to try experiments on someone. He caught hold of few worms, beat them into a pulp, and mixed it in a water. He took this mixture to a servant girl and said to her, "This is wonderful mixture. If you want to drink this, you can fly like a bird." In your textbook it is given can't, but you have to remove T and just you have to read like this: "You can fly like a bird. Come on, drink it and see." So what is this incident? I am going to explain. Now explanation of the last passage on page number 79. Now this is another second incident of Thomas Alva Edison's childhood. One morning when he saw watching a bird, it flew down to the ground and picked up some worms. By eating worms, or after eating worms, a bird flew away. By this scene, he got an idea that if human being eat worms, then it could easily fly like a bird. So what did he do? That the bird is able to fly because it eat worms, he thought that. And man can also fly if he eat worms, he said to himself in the mind. Then he wanted to try experiment on somebody. So he picked one person, and that was a servant girl. Before, what he did, that he pick up some worms, insects, beat them into in a pulp, and crush it like an apple pulp, orange pulp. Each and every worms he crush it and make it into a pulp, and mixed all the pulp with water, and then took her to a servant girl and said to her that this is a wonderful mixture. And servant girl was also little, so she couldn't understand what happened with her. So then when Thomas Alva Edison just says something to her, what is that? This is a wonderful mixture. If you drink this, you can fly like a bird. If you drink this mixture of pulp, you can fly like a bird. This is a magical mixture. So girl was very little. She tried, she ate, we can say she drank the pulp, and what happened afterward, that is given in the next passage and next page number 80. Now we move to next passage, page number 80. The poor girl believed him and drank the mixture. Well, she didn't fly but fell ill. Young Edison's mother warned him not to do such kind of silly experiment in future. So poor girl, that servant girl, drank the mixture. She fell ill, she couldn't fly because that was a mixture of worms. Edison's mother warned him not to do such kind of silly experiment on anybody in future. Now next, in reality, Edison was very funny boy. Although he failed in his silly experiment, silly means foolish experiments, yet he learned from them that his ideas were wrong. And by this way, yet he learned from them is here experiment, that his ideas were wrong. He was fond of books and reading quite a lot of them. Edison was also fond of reading books and different books. His father gave him 25 cents, means paise. In Indian currency it is called cents. His father gave him 25 cents for every book he read. He read widely, and with them that pocket money, he bought more books and set up small laboratories given in place of that. You have to make correction in your textbook. It is called library. His mother encouraged him and helped him in his experiments. In fact, young Edison found in his mother his best teacher. So according to Edison, who was the best teacher? His mother. She was patient. Patience means calm enough, kind enough to answer all his questions. With the help and the guidance of his mother, he made good progress in his life. He used to observe things very closely and do a lot of experiments. I am going to explain this whole passage. In real, Edison was a very funny boy. Although he failed in his lots of experiment, and afterward he realized that whatever the experiment he was doing, that was all were wrong. And he was also fond of reading books. So as and when he completed one book, and then his father gave him as a reward 25 cents. And from this 25 cents, he purchased some other books. And after when he completed the other books, again he got 25 cents. By this way, he collected his pocket money from his father. And one by one, he just collected lots of books and set up a small library. Every time his mother encouraged him and helped him in his experiment. As and when any doubt or question arose in his mind, immediately asked his mother, and his mother gave him the best solution. That's why he considered his mother as a best teacher. His mother was very patient, calm, cool, kind by nature, and with any kind of angerness, Edison's mother gave him a reply very gently. So with the help and guidance of his mother, he made good progress in his life. He used to observe things, Miss Edison used to observe things very closely and do a lot of experiments. And day by day, he did lots of experiments in his life. Now next passage. Now Edison needed money to carry on his studies further. So he wanted to carry study further. He wanted to purchase some books and wanted to go out and see new places and new people. So he decided to serve a job in railways. He could get permission from his parents, and after a great difficulty, he became a newspaper boy. First of all, he got the job as a newspaper boy and traveled up and down, means up down, in train to Detroit. Detroit is one of the city in America, town in America. He sold newspaper. What did he sell there? So as a newspaper boy, he sold newspapers, sweets and fruits. So which item were sold by Edison when he was a newspaper boy? Newspapers, sweets and fruits. He earned $2, and that was his first earning, $2 on the first day. He said to his mother that night, what he just said, take this dollar, that every night I will give you a dollar. A dollar means single. From that what I earned is my promise, and he kept that word. Now I explain this passage. Now Edison needed money to carry on, is to continue his studies further, more. He wanted to purchase some more books, want to read some more books, and then so that's why I want to get lots of experiments. So same time, even he was curious to read something, and he was also curious to visit new places and new people for his experiments. So he decided to serve in railway. He decided to serve in railway department. So that's why he just tried to convince his parent, and after lots of difficulty, at last he convinced his parent that he want to become a newspaper boy, and he became a newspaper boy at last. That was his first job, and traveled up and down in the train, where he was traveling in a train. Okay, and that was from America to, that is one of the town in America, in Detroit. He sold newspaper there, sweets and fruits to the passengers, and earned $2 on the first day. That was his salary. That was his wage that he earned himself. That was $2. And he said to his mother, it is supper, his evening meal is called supper, not super, it's called supper, that night. And he told his mother that take this dollar, every night I will give you. Every night he promised his mother, every night he would give a dollar from what he earned, and this is his promise. Now next paragraph. A year or two later, Edison decided to start his own newspaper. He bought an old printing press and set up in his railway wagon. So here Edison decided to start an own newspaper, and so bought the old printing press from somebody and set up the same printing press in railway wagon. He edited means to read and make correction, is called editing. So he read his own newspaper, whatever he had printed, and afterward he corrected whatever the required matters. And then he sold a newspaper in number of copies and earned more money. With what money he set up, and with that money he set up a small laboratory in the same railway wagon. Now next passage. When he was 15, at the age of 15, he met with an accident that affected his career. As and when any student got an idea about accident, means crash of cars or trains or XYZ any kind of vehicles. But here accident means the things that happen suddenly, it is called an accident. If you just moving or walking on the road, suddenly you fell on the road, it is called an accident. While you are just your mother mopping a floor and you are running on the floor, this wet floor, and you fall down suddenly, it is called an accident. So here suddenly the things happen, is called an accident. That affected his career. While he was doing an experiment in his laboratory, the train turned round a corner. His train took a turn. There was sudden jolt. Jolt means jerk. And a bit of phosphorus is a kind of chemical. Phosphorus. A bit of this means small amount, a very less amount. A bit of phosphorus fell on the floor of his carriage and caught fire before he could put it out. Put it means extinguish. The newspaper had caught fire. The fire spread and Edison shouted for help. The guard came in and together they were able to put out the fire. That was the end of Edison's service on the train, and he was dismissed at the next station. Now what is the summary? So listen it. When he was 15, at the age of 15, he met with one accident that affected his career and he lost his job. While he was doing some experiment in the same compartment or wagon, suddenly a train took a turn round a corner and there was a sudden jolt, there was a sudden jerk, and a less amount of phosphorus, a chemical, and that was very flammable. Phosphorus fell on the floor of the carriage or compartment where he was doing some kind of experiment. Immediately when the bit of phosphorus fell on the floor of the compartment, suddenly caught the fire. The compartment started burning, and even there nearby the newspaper was lying, so newspaper also caught fire. The fire spread in the whole wagon and he shouted for help. Suddenly the railway guard came in, entered the compartment, and together means railway guard and Thomas Alva Edison, both able to put out, means extinguish the fire, but that was end of Edison's service, and afterward they could conclude that whatever the solution, and that was the only solution that given or declared by the railway department, and that was dismiss of his service. So he was totally immediately dismissed at the next station because he damaged government property, railway property. So that was the end of his career as a newspaper boy, or we can say as a service in railway department. Now the last passage of page number 80 I am going to read, and afterward I will explain. After studying and doing different jobs for about 10 years, means 15 plus 10, 25. That was in previous passage you can see at the age of 15. Now about 10 years is 25 years. Edison made a series of invention. So he started to make a series different kind of invention one by one. It's called made a series. One invention followed by another quickly, and Edison earned more name and fame. Here name and fame is money. In 1877, now remember all the dates and year. In 1877, he was working on a machine that could produce a human voice. The next year, he actually made one which was known as a talking machine. Now we call it gramophone. Now it is known as a gramophone. So the same year he was invited to White House. In the same year was invited to White House in the Washington, where the President of the United States of America lives. So here, after studying and doing lots of experiment, at the age of 25 years, he started to make different kind of invention one by one quickly, and Edison earned more fame, means became famous, and more money. Now that was his first experiment. In 1877, when he started working, he was not invented, but he started working on a machine that reproduced human voice. And the next year, means 1878, he started working in 1877 on machine that could reproduce human voice, and next year, means 1878, he actually made it. His experiment was got success, and which was known first of all as talking machine, and now it is called as a gramophone. So here what is called gramophone, I am going to show you the picture. Now you can see the image. This is called gramophone. This was invented by Thomas Alva Edison in 1878. So he was invited by the Washington of America. He went to this United States, President of United States, and he went to the Washington White House. And afterward, what happened? Edison, now next passage. Edison went there. The passage is continue. Edison went there to show his new machine to the President of America and became famous all over the America. Now he was successful and prosperous, became rich. He owed all this to his mother's help. Whatever he was getting due to his mother's help and encouragement and his hard work. So his mother's helps, encouragement by his parents, and his own hard work. By due to this all the efforts, he got success in 1878. Now what happened? We'll see in the next video.